Hey guys, and welcome back to Brexit. Brexit England, Northern Ireland, and Eastern Europe. It's beginning to look a lot like the 70s. They're striking everywhere. I could have come with this tone. It's coming like a ghost town. Because this time really does come like a ghost town. Jeremy Corbyn was supposed to take us back to here. Right? Not Boris Johnson, who's supposed to be this modern politician, a forward-thinking politician, 40 new hospitals. Where the hell are they going to get staff for 40 new hospitals? Right, 20,000 new police officers. Why do you think they put up so much cameras in this country? They put up so much cameras in this country because they don't want to have as many police officers. That's why burglary numbers are off of the scale because they expect you to have a camera in your house, a ring doorbell. There are other doorbells available, or cameras all over your house. And the minute you haven't got that in your house that's burgled, the police are just like, no cameras. Okay, then here's a crime number. Take it up with your insurance company. But Boris Johnson, the forward-thinking man who has taken us back to the 1970s, and in Brexit England, right, Boris Johnson, while he was foreign minister, attempted to have his then mistress, who is his now current wife. I'm very confused about it as well. Right, who is now his current wife, but he tried to get her 100 grand a year job, right, within the Foreign Office. But the people in there knew that he was having an affair. Always, it's the person's partner who's the last person to know this bitch ass is having a motherfucking affair, right? But all the people in the Foreign Office knew, and they stopped Kerry from coming and working in the Foreign Office. You know, that just shows you the level of corruption that these people are voting for. When these people are voting with their disgusting racist way, right? They're voting for people who are corrupt. Right? Because those people say nice things about immigration, and that's all it's about. These people would allow Boris Johnson, right, to, I personally think, right, that these people would say, you know what, they'd be prepared to lose one of their children, right, so long as they can see black and brown people being sent to Rwanda, so long as, right, the government can say, you know what we're going to do, right, we're going to tag them, that's what we're going to do, right. Not only did we batter them to put them on aeroplanes, right, against their will, right, we held them down like they were slaves from the fucking 17th century, right, we held them down, right, and put their ass on motherfucking aeroplanes, right. I know, obviously in the 17th century we didn't have aeroplanes, it was on ships, but the same thing applies. They battered these people and held them down and put them on boats, right, put them on aeroplanes, right, to take them, right, but to take them away, right, to somewhere where they didn't want to go. Right, it's not the first time these people have done this shit, right, to black and brown people. It's not the first time. I'm sure in their motherfucking eyes it's not going to be the last time. But this is what they can get away with, right? So you see, corrupt people like Boris Johnson can try and get his bit on the side, right? £100,000 a year job, right? Because he's so corrupt. But he knows to himself, you know what? Them people, so long as I say to them, you know what? I'm going to send police officers out there to do stop and search. Yeah, send back to do stop and search. Black people to Rwanda. Tag the motherfuckers. See these people who vote for Boris Johnson, I guarantee you that if a genie come to them and said to them, you can have one wish, whatever you want, and they're just thinking to themselves, you know what, I'm probably going to push this to, I say, I just want 100 million pounds. Just before they're just ready to take their wish, the genie says to them, your next door neighbour, right, whatever you wish for, your next door neighbour's going to get double. Whatever you wish for, your next door neighbour's going to get double. But only unfortunately for that person, next door neighbour's black, or maybe even Asian, but there's some type of foreigner. And what do you think the right-wing fool will do in that case? They say to the genie, okay, take out my eye. And also welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages sent me. And a special thank you to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that signed up, so thank you so much for that. I'll go through all your messages. I'll answer as many as I can, but I will like all your messages for definite. We are looking at another 15%, right? Food hikes this coming summer. A summer coming soon. This summer coming. 15% after what we've just had. We've already had about 15, maybe 15, 20% hike on our food prices anyway, right? I can't even say how much the fuel prices is going up because it's just going up on a daily basis. The cost of petrol and diesel, right? But this is what happens, right? When you put a clown in charge, right? Because you're a bunch of racist idiots, right? You put a clown in charge, and then they lose control of the economy, because that's what's happened in this country. Boris Johnson has lost control of the economy because he had no right being prime minister in the first place. Okay, you don't put idiots in charge, right, of a country, right, and expect anything better to come out of it. No wonder we're going to have 15% food hikes. Right now, we've had Sadiq Khan come out and say, well, what we need to do is we need to give school children free school meals. And the right wing force will be like, I don't do that. He's a bloody Asian. Don't you tell me what to do, you bloody Asian. Don't you tell us what to do. Right, if Boris Johnson, I guarantee if Boris Johnson come out and said, yeah, we're going to, you know what, we're going to give children school free meals. You know, that seems like a good idea. But if it's Sadiq Khan, our children can fucking starve. Fuck them. Fuck the little bastards. Right, fucking starve. Right, I am that fucking Asian and a fucking Muslim as well. Fucking Muslim Asian telling me what to fucking do. Their fucking kids can fucking starve. The Boris Johnson, oh yeah. Boris Johnson says it. Oh yeah, the kids starve, they need. Oh, it's a good idea. A very good idea. But the same thing happened with Jeremy Corbyn. If you told people Jeremy Corbyn's his policies, right, without telling you it's from Jeremy Corbyn, they'll be like, yeah, no, I quite like that. Yes, sounds pretty good. But the minute they tell you it's Jeremy Corbyn, he's a fucking anti-Semite. But how dare he object to white people murdering brown people? Right, we should be allowed, white people should be allowed to murder as many as they want. Right, without people like that fucking bearded scientist objecting to it. How dare he object to white people murdering brown people? Who do you think he is? Who do you think he is? See, that's what you get, right? The right wing mind. I don't get it. I don't understand the right wing mind at all. Because if you put those policies to them, and just say it to them, they'll be like, oh yeah, I think this country should take back the train lines. But once you put that from the left perspective, it's like, it's fucking socialism, and socialism is fucking communism, it's all Marxism, it's all of it. Right? All fucking isms. The only ism I like is racism. Yeah, that's the only ism I like, racism. I don't mind a bit of sexism as well. But that's the reason why we're having a 15% hike in our food prices, because you have put a complete idiot in charge of the country, because you people can't get past the petty racism. All these people from the right wing, they just can't get past it. Just can't get past it. And that's the reason why this country is completely fucked. Let's move over to America for a hot minute. A 70-year-old man has shot dead 3 people at a church dinner. And you're wondering, well, why the hell would you want to take a gun to a church dinner anyway? Because over here, when's the last time, all us Brits, when's the last time we've felt the need to take a gun to church? I mean, any weapons. When's the last time you thought to yourself, yeah, because when we're going to church now, yeah, there's a big sign that says, check your weapons, check them in there, put them in there. Big sign. Not over here, there's not. Because over here, right, we can say that 99.9% chance, right, that we're not going to get shot in church, right, in a hospital, right, in a shopping centre, in a school, right, or, just on the street. We've got a 99.9%. Right? And I'm using fractions there, you see. You know how they like to use fractions when they're telling you petrol? Well, I'm using fractions there because I'm showing you, you know what? The chances of us being shot in Great Britain is very, very slim. An armed police officer has got more chance of being shot than any of us. An armed police officer. and he's got a gun, or she got a gun, right? And they've got more chance of being shot. You know why? Because they're always confronting people with guns. Right? On a general basis, right? We don't confront people with guns. In my whole life, yeah, and I've lived a life of street, right? I've only had one person pull a gun out on me. Now, most people don't ever have that. But in my life, I've only had one person. Do you know what I mean? And that is, for me, that's that's very, very unusual. It's not something that I would expect to happen, right? But it's happened to me once, right? And I'd say that most people, right, 99.9% of people, that don't happen to them in this country. Never have a gun pull out on them. But in America, right, you go to a church dinner, and people they're busting out guns. They got their Glock, or they got their 9mm, right, or they got their Magnum, right. What they got that for? Going to church. I mean, I'll be straight with you. If I was in America, I was going to church, I would carry a gun to go to church, because I know there's some people out there who's motherfucking crazy. Right? And they will go into churches, they'll go into schools, they're going to hospitals, or they'll go to a fucking church dinner and murder a load of people. He's a 70-year-old gun dealer. Right? So obviously he's got his weapons legal, but we're saying that, right? Weapons, right? The two 18-year-olds who done that shit, the one who went and murdered all the black people, and the one who went to the school and killed all the kids, right? Both of them, their guns was legal. They had legal firearms. So it's also now a 70-year-old, right, who obviously, if you're going to a church dinner, I'd say that you probably have something to do with the church. I'd say, yeah, it's not you were just walking past the church, or you just thought to yourself, you know what? Normally on a Saturday night, or on a Sunday morning, normally I'm just coming in from raving, right? But you know what? This Sunday, I'm gonna not go raving Saturday night. I'm gonna get up early Sunday, right, and go Sunday afternoon and go to the church dinner. No, this person probably more than likely goes to church all the time, right? So you see, obviously in America they've got this whole guns and God, which I think is like, let me just think of a word for it, crazy. Right? I don't think, right? I just have this feeling. Right? And knowing what we know about Jesus, who was a real person, by the way, right? Knowing what we know about Jesus, right? He would not, right, like gun dealers. Yeah? We can tell that by what it says in the Bible, and by the people who he hung out with in the Bible. His book. Well, it's written by his dad. Right? So, if we know that that's the case, how is it that in America, right, you've got this whole guns and God thing, and someone can go to a dinner, right, and shoot and kill people at a dinner, a gun dealer, right? Now you've got to say, well, the problem is, I don't know, it's probably the gun, I would say, because we're not allowed to have guns in this country, so we can say they're illegal in this country. You go to prison for a long time in this country for having a gun, even a bullet. But even if they find your fingerprints on a gun, you'll go to prison for that. Okay? Everything to do with a gun in this country, you will go to prison for, right? So if they find your fingerprints, as I said, if they find your fingerprints on a gun, right, you're going to go to prison for that. Right? You might just get a year or so in prison, but you're definitely going to prison for it. They find your fingerprints, because that means that you have at some stage been in contact with that firearm if your fingerprint is on it. So they'll just be like, well, what's your fingerprints doing on it? Because you've got to explain how your fingerprints has got onto a firearm. And if you can't come up with a good excuse like, I'm a firearms officer, or well, I found it and I took it to the police station, that's why my fingerprints are on it. All right? But other than that, I don't know what other excuses you're going to come up with as to why your fingerprints are on a gun in this country. But believe me, you go to prison for it, and that's that, right? So for us, the reason why, right, we know we're not going to get shot is because we're not allowed to have guns. right? There is that fraction, as I said, 99.9. So there is that fraction. There's a little fraction there, yeah, where because people do get shot in this country, right? But in a country of 70 million people, right? It's nothing compared to if we was allowed to have guns. That would be a difference. Back to the UK. Heathrow Airport is a complete and utter disaster zone. It's a disaster. Right? If you see the baggage, the baggage, more bags, right, than a baggage stove. Right? There's a river full of. Do you know something, right? If those damn migrants had any sense, they'd go and get jobs in Heathrow and just throw them bags in the water right across the channel, and the rest of their brothers and sisters will be able to walk across. There's that much bags. I'm telling you, there's over 30 miles of bags, right, in Heathrow. You can see that shit from the Google Maps, right? You could link that shit to Dover, right? You just link that shit to the trucks at Dover and just say, you know what? This is Brexit England. Fucked. Right? Brexit England, right, is really messed up. You know something, right? People look at me and say, you're enjoying this shit much too much. You're enjoying Brexit much. And I am enjoying Brexit. I'm enjoying it, right, more than the people who now are complaining, right, that because we don't support Brexit, it's going that badly because we don't support it. Because we told them in the first place, this is going to be a real shit show. A show of shit. And they still said to us, no, it's not. It's going to be good. And now, right, we have a river of fucking suitcases, rucksacks, briefcases, right, ladies' poise. That's how they say it in America, right? When they say a poise in America, it's like a lady's handbag, right? Right, all sorts of different, stuff where there's people on the other side of the world, and their suitcases are still at fucking Heathrow. Right? I see a report this morning from a guy from Rwanda, right? He's doing a report in Rwanda. He's from here, right? One from ITV, right? And they said, oh, when he got in contact with the airport, they said, oh no, your bags they're on their way to Rwanda, but they're just going via Amsterdam. Strange, but and then obviously nowadays people are up to date with technology. This motherfucker has got a tracker on his suitcase. Don't. But no, obviously, like you can have trackers that work with a mobile phone SIM, right? So long as the tracker has got power, right, then you can track it. A lot of trackers work off some of them work off satellites, but a lot of them work off a mobile phone SIM, so they can work anywhere, right? So he's got that tracker. He's got that tracker on his suitcase, right? The suitcase, right, is saying, I'm still in motherfucking Heathrow Airport. I'm not in Amsterdam. But the airport said to him, oh no, it's on its way to you. It's in Amsterdam. It's on its way to you, to Rwanda. But it's going to get there faster than the black and brown people the country's sending there. Your suitcase will be there long before. And I don't think that's the case. I think, listen, right, this, right, is absolutely disgusting. It's disgusting. But, it really does serve you motherfuckers right. Because you voted for this shit. You voted for this absolute shit show. It's not even the holidays. The only people that can go on holiday right now is retired people, people who don't have to work, and people who are motherfucking lucky in motherfucking life. They're the only people right now, right, who don't have to, right, who are on holiday. Imagine when the 6 weeks holiday come around, what's going to happen when the 6 weeks holiday come around? What do you think's going to happen then? You think it's going to be easy when the 6 weeks holiday come around? The whole system is going to crash. It's crashing right now. And we're not even in holiday season. It's crashing. Right? Gatwick, Luton, Stansted, Heathrow, they're all stuffed. Dover, stuffed. All due to Brexit. Right? When you shoot yourself in both feet and both hands, right? What the fuck was you expecting? I'm gonna lose my own freedom of movement because I'm a stupid fucking racist idiot. You're stupid. The stupidity, right, of this, right? And you know something? People like me, right, who have had a lifetime of bullshit from you people, right? I am enjoying this so much. I only wish that it was Africa that done this to you. Because that would have been the real justice if Africa had done this to you. Right? But the fact that you've done it to yourself, right? So I can stand back and I can say, you know what? It serves you right. You've done it to yourself. It says to me, good. That teacher has a good lesson. Right? Because now you know where your racism has really got you. And where's your racism got you? It's got you, right, with our businesses, right, not being able to operate in the EU. Right? Our airports are fucked. Even the fucking new blue or black passport or whatever it is, right? Then they said to you, oh, we'll get rid of that fucking EU red passport. We don't fucking like it. Fuck it off. They're making our passport in the EU. But it's not even like they're making it in this country where they say, British jobs for British workers. They're making it in the fucking EU. Even the fucking aeroplane to take black and brown people to fucking Rwanda come from the EU. They hired it from one of the countries in the EU. Right? You're telling me, right, that we're in a country where we're saying, you know something, we want our fucking sovereignty. But then they can just say, oh, well, you can have as much sovereignty as you want. But you know what? Your new passport that we're taking to get away from the EU, that's going to be made in the EU. I'm saying, what? Is there nobody in Britain that can make the passport? Because, I mean, if you want to be so fucking insular, right, then really, right, you should be saying, you know something, any job that can be done by British people is going to be done by British people. That's what they should be saying. But like, oh no. We just used them idiots for their racism so we can stay in power. And then that way, we're good to go. We can always stay in power because, you know, we just play these culture wars against these fucking fools. And these fools will fall for it every day of the week. They'll fall for it. And that's why Heathrow Airport, Gatwick, Stansted, Luton, and whichever ones. Let's say South. No, not so much South. Right? All stuffed. I guarantee you know where it's not going to be stuffed? City Airport. You know why? Because City Airport is a private airport run like a private airport. Okay? When it comes down to Gatwick and Heathrow, and they're all private. All of them are private. But they're run as if the government's running them. Because the private sector, when the private sector is like, oh yeah, well, you know, we're running this private. But that doesn't mean that we should run it luxurious for people because it's a government service. So we don't run it luxurious. Right? You run a private service in this country, it's supposed to be better than the government would do it for you. You know, remember, right, when they said to you, oh, well, you know, British Rail was terrible. Terrible, it's run terrible, right? It would have modernised. Yeah, you know, we wouldn't have had trains from the 1960s or the 1960s or 1970s still running now. That wouldn't have been the case. Right? But they deliberately run it down. Right? Then they sold it all off. Right? And now, right, we're at a stage now where they're having to you know, because of how things are going, because how people are looking at this stuff now. I think people are much more alert, right, to the rip-off nature, right, of what's going on in this country. Right? So you've got a lot of those companies, they're making less and less profits. Yeah. So now a lot of them are handing these franchises back. No, we don't want that. Yeah. Unless we can have like you know, £800 million to split amongst our shareholders. We're not interested. Our shareholders need yachts and they need Bentleys and they need big fuck off houses. They need that, right? And you know, if we can't get that, then you can have this motherfucking franchise back. And that's how they're dealing with it. That's exactly what that's exactly what they're doing, right? So they're just handing all a lot of them are handing the franchises back, right? So the government will take them on, but they'll try and sell them again. That's what they'll do with all of them. They will try and sell them all again, you know. But that's what's going on in a lot of cases. In a lot of cases, that's what's going on, right? So now obviously we've got strikes. Now we've got RMT coming out on strike. You know, the barristers, right, have just voted to strike, right? And now what we're going to say about the barristers, because they say the train drivers. Well, they always bring up the train drivers, yeah, but a lot of these strikes is not about the train drivers, right? The train drivers cannot work, right? If the maintenance is not there and the signalers are not there, they can't work. If people haven't cleaned the train out, they can't take the train out, right? So it's those staff. It's more the auxiliary staff that is going on strike here, because they set us all up against each other and say, well, those train drivers are getting £54,000 a year, 54 grand. A bloody working class. What they need to do, right, is they have no right to strike, no right at all to strike. You have no right to take back your labour. We don't care about 11% inflation. And has offered them 2%. You know when your boss offers you 2%, right? That's like you going to a job interview and they're saying to you, this job is minimum wage. But if we could give you less, we would give you less. That's why it's minimum wage, right? Now you've got the job, and fuck off. Come back tomorrow morning and start. Yeah. I've heard, right, that the head of one of the I don't know who, head of one of the railways or whatever, right, say that they can run the service with less people. That's what they want to do. They want to run the service with less people, right? Now, at what stage have you ever got on the train and thought to yourself, you know what, this station could do with less staff? I guarantee you that you've never ever said that. I guarantee you every time you said, you know what, couldn't find a fucking staff member. Couldn't find anybody. And when I did find someone, they knew what the hell they were talking about. And when I did find someone, right, it was the wrong person. They just happened to be, right, a worker that was walking through another station, but they don't work at that particular one. But they think they can run it with less people, and then they've got the cheek to say to you, well, people shouldn't ask for more money. Working class people don't ask for more money. You will destroy the economy if you ask for more money, because you're working class and you deserve not one thing. That's what you deserve, right? And furthermore, right, if you want more, right, then they're going to set the newspapers on you, because they've got this way of doing that. Right? I don't understand it, but if you look at, for example, the presenters on the TV, right. Especially the ones who want to call on the radio, especially the ones who want to call out, the strikers. How dare you want to strike, right? And all the journalists, like the people who write columns, because those guys, a lot of those guys are on like 150, 200 grand a year, right, for writing an article or whatever. But they'd want to turn around to a train driver and say, well, why are you getting 54 grand a year? I mean, our job's much more important than yours. And say, well, a train driver could have 1,000 people, right? That he's caring for at any one time. A signaller, signallers, right? There's thousands of people's lives that they've got in their hands at any one time. But you've got journalists or TV presenters questioning their rate of money and saying, well, why do they get paid more than the nurse? Say, well, maybe the nurse doesn't get paid enough, right? But these people have the absolute cheek and the gall, right, the liberty, right, taking the absolute piss, right, talking about working class people's wages. It's too much. Gonna crash the economy. You dare ask for any more. Don't ask for any more. There's no more in the pot for you. Nothing. Not in the pot for you. An MP, Paul Scully, has said people in the airline industry just need to work harder. That's fair enough. Just work harder, because then that way you'll be alright, right? If you just work harder. You know, I think, right, that because they look at you as being really stupid, they can say stuff like that to you. They can just say to you, in the airline industry, work harder. Even though they've made it difficult for these people to be able to get staff. All the airline industry, all the management from the airline industry are saying, this is Brexit, right? It's because of Brexit why this is happening to the airline industry, because of Brexit. They're all saying that. Do you know what I mean? But obviously no one wants to say it out loud, but that's exactly what they're saying. It's Brexit. In one breath, Boris Johnson will tell you that the economy is brilliant, it's booming, the economy is doing so well. And then in the next breath, Boris Johnson says to you, if you ask for more money from your employer, you're going to bankrupt the economy, you're going to send inflation sky high. But I thought our economy was doing fantastic. You see? They know that they can get away with this shit. They know to themselves, you know what, we can just get away with this. We can say whatever we want to these people, because, you know, what they do is they just throw a load of stuff out. They just keep throwing a load of stuff out there. You know, you can't keep up with their lies. You can't keep up with their nonsense. You know what I mean? When they're saying to the economy is brilliant, right, and we're all saying, well, hold on a minute, right, and then in the next breath, they'll say to you, oh, you know, the current cost of living crisis that they have put us in, they've put us in the cost of living crisis, but they've done that because you have voted for them to be able to do that to you. Right? You know, and you have to look and say to yourself, the level of stupidity that it takes, right, for you to vote against your own interest. But these Tories, they're very good at it. They're very good at manipulation. They've been manipulating people for hundreds of years. The Tories and the posh classes have been manipulating people because, you know, in the first place, they don't think that working class and poor people should have the vote in the first place. They don't think you should have the vote in the first place. So if they can manipulate you for you to then vote for them, right, then they can continue. But you know already, yeah, if they could get like proportional representation or whatever, right? You know, obviously, you know, the Tories would never get another. They would never be in government again, right? But they wouldn't allow that system to come in because they've already set the system up from the beginning. Because, you know, remember that poor people, working class people, was not allowed to vote. Right. It's only been a certain amount of while that people have been that those people, you know, you had to be a land first of all you had to be gentry, and then obviously you had to be a landowner after that, and then a property owner, right? Before right, you know, poor and working class people could get the vote anyway, right? So it's not been that long that they could have the vote, right? And for them to take that vote, right, and give it to the Tories. You know, you just have to wonder why they're doing that. But they're doing that is because they're a damn bunch of stupid racist artists who think to themselves, you know what, so long as Boris and the Tories are prepared to send black and brown people to Rwanda, so long as they're prepared to do that, they could get my vote every day of the week. They could kill my youngest child and I wouldn't care. Right? As long as they tag them, because that's the new thing now, tag their ass, right? Because you know what, it's all red meat out to the rodents. Tag them. Right, you know, stop and search, send them to Rwanda. You know, all of these things, it works for them. Because look at the moment, right, how they're blaming Labour for the strike. They say, well, Labour haven't been in power for nearly 13 years. But they're blaming Labour. It's Labour's fault why the RMT is going on strike. You know what Grant Chapman says? It's Labour's fault. It's their fault. Because the RMT are going on strike. And they, but they haven't been in power. Yeah, it's still their fault though, because they can get that past these people in this country, because the people in this country are a bunch of stupid ass racists, so they can get that past. It's just completely. It is completely ridiculous. Right? Look, for example, right, the difference in how people are treated, right, in other countries. In Germany, I believe they've just introduced a €9 ticket that you can use for 1 month and go anywhere in the country. Now, why do you think they can't do that over here? Because for years, all the profits from the railways have been going into the buckets, right, of the people who can afford to buy the shares in the in the train stations. That's where the money's going. It's all going into their pockets, right? And it's not going back into the service. If it's going back into the service, they could probably give us a £9 ticket that could take us up and down the country if the money was going into the service, right? They'd be able to employ a lot more people in the service, but they can't, right? Because they're private companies. They're private companies. Private companies are just out there to make money, not interested in anything else. That's why in Germany, €9 tickets. In Britain, try and go from London to, say, Manchester. I guarantee that's going to cost you the better part of nearly £200. Right? Okay? That just shows you the difference. I mean, but we're prepared to put up with it because the people in this country are a bunch of stupid ass racists. Look at this now. Look at this. I'm so far in already. Do you know what I mean? Right. At the Labour conference this year, right, Keir Starmer's going to lay out plans for Brexit and immigration. But considering that the red wall voters, right, are against immigration but for Brexit, I mean that's his voters. His voters, right? Obviously, I never knew that these people were so racist before the whole Brexit thing. I always thought these was good. That the Northerners, red wall. I always thought they was good people. Unbeknownst to me, they're a bunch of fucking shitbags, but who voted against their own interests with their racist motherfucking selves, and they had me fooled for all these years. And those are the people who disappointed me the most in this country, voting for fucking Brexit. Right? People from the fucking red wall, who I always thought was good folks. I always thought these people was good people. But no, this turns out they're a bunch of racist scumbags. So that's the problem. That's the problem that he's going to face. But you see, the thing is with Keir Starmer's good to go because Keir Starmer's establishment. Jeremy Corbyn wasn't establishment. Jeremy Corbyn, right, would have broken up a lot of the things that the people of this country actually want broken up. They just don't want it. They just don't want it broken up by someone like Jeremy Corbyn. I don't know why, but so they think to themselves, well, Boris Johnson is talking about all this levelling up. You think Jeremy Corbyn would have levelled you up? Obviously, that wasn't his agenda. He didn't come out with this levelling up agenda, but he would have levelled you up. Boris Johnson was never going to level you up. Boris Johnson was always going to come out with this nonsense. But Keir Starmer's in Keir Starmer's hands. This whole shit is safe in Keir Starmer's hands. And everybody they're good to have Keir. Even if Keir Starmer managed to become Prime Minister, they'll be good with that because they know that nothing changes for them. Everything stays the same. But with Jeremy Corbyn, everything would have changed for them. But with Boris Johnson, everything has changed for us. That's why we're paying £2 for a litre of fuel, right? And we have ambulances stacked up outside hospitals for 10 or 12 hours. Anyway, guys, look, I've already been on, and I've still got a good few more stories to talk about. And I've done this video really late today because I woke up this morning, wasn't really feeling it. See what I mean? So I had to leave it till a bit later, and then it's gone 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm just about to go and get ready to upload this shit now. Right? Anyway, guys, this is By Any Means Necessary. I'm the MC John Ribbs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.